Welcome back to the finale of our two-part series that has taken us on an extraordinary journey alongside Chuma, the boy once scorned and branded cursed. Today, we reach the climax of his story, where courage, love, and destiny will collide in a breathtaking showdown. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already and hit that like button to show your support for more stories like Chuma's. Without further ado, let's dive into the conclusion of our series. Despite the memories of how he was treated with scorn by the people of Umuchi, Chuma's heart still harbored a flicker of concern for Olamba, the beacon of light in his world of darkness. Eventually, Kachi was able to convince him to rescue Olamba. They embarked on a daring rescue mission. The raid was successful, and they not only freed Olamba and her friends, but also some of the villagers in captivity. Olamba tried to find out the identity of the man who risked his life to save her, but Chuma refused to reveal himself. Olamba's family and the villagers were happy but intrigued. The mystery of the trio became a topic of much speculation among the villagers. Meanwhile, the news of the raid and the loss of his men reached the king of Ula, igniting his fury. He vowed vengeance against Umuchi for the attack. Anticipating the king's retaliation, Chuma and his friends prepared an ambush, effectively drafting the Ula army's strike. Unknown to Chuma, one of the villagers had observed the ambush and traced Chuma and his friends to the borders of their hideout in the evil forest. With this knowledge, he approached the king of Ula, offering information as to the location of those who dare challenge his authority. However, this particular location was in the evil forest, strictly off limits to the villagers. In response, the king of Ula demanded that the king of Umuchi produce the assailants responsible for the attack on his men within 2 market days or face war. This ultimatum threw the people of Umuchi into a state of confusion as they had no idea about the identity of the perpetrators. After interrogating Olamba and the others on the identity of the 3 men, the king's efforts to uncover the identity yielded no results. The king sent for the seer, who revealed to them that the hero was no one else but Chuma, the outcast. Furthermore, the seer proclaimed that Chuma alone possessed the power to overthrow the tyrannical rule of the king of Ula and liberate Umuchi from his oppression. This revelation that Chuma had been dwelling within the forbidden depth of the evil forest only served to deepen the conviction that he was a mysterious being. In desperation, the king sent the seer to implore Chuma for help. When the seer pleaded for mercy for Umuchi, Chuma was torn between the desire for vengeance and fulfilling his destiny. The villagers' remorse could not easily erase the scars of years of maltreatment. Yet, the promise of being united with Olamba, the one pure soul who had seen beyond this cursed label, ignited a spark within Chuma. He agreed to protect Umuchi from the king of Ula, under the condition that he would be given Olamba's hand in marriage. On conveying Chuma's proposal to the king, he consented, stipulating that should Chuma succeed in freeing them from the clutches of king of Ula, Olamba will indeed become his wife. Motivated by this agreement, Chuma and his friends began to train the village warriors for a confrontation that would decide Umuchi's destiny. The battle was fierce, with Chuma at the forefront, demonstrating the spirit of a true hero. Chuma's daily training with Kachi and Kelechi had honed his fighting skills. At some point during the fight, Chuma was faced with the king of Ula, who succeeded in disarming him and forcing him to his knee. The king of Ula raised the sword for the final blow, but in that moment, an apparition of Chuma's mother appeared, giving him a sword. With this, Chuma delivered a decisive strike, causing the king to collapse and finally breathe his last. Witnessing their leader's fall, the enemy soldiers fled in confusion. As the dust settled on the battlefield, Chuma emerged as a victor and a hero. The village that once shunned him now celebrated him as their savior. When the time came to reward Chuma for his bravery, the king betrayed him by giving his daughter Adaeze instead of Olamma. The king had never intended to honor his promise regarding Olamma because she had been betrothed to the prince. Angry and disappointed by this deceit, Chuma returned to the forest. His friends consoled him, but the realization that his effort to free Umuchi from tyranny was met with ingratitude made him sad, casting a shadow over his heroic faith. When Olamma heard what the king did, she ran away to find Chuma. Chuma and his friends discovered her roaming the forest. Despite her plea to Chuma to let them run away together, he refused and returned Olamma to the village. Chuma turned a deaf ear to all of Olamma's plea, as he didn't want to live the rest of his life as a villain. During Olamma and Prince's marriage, the village square was alive with festivities. There was dancing and folk music playing and plenty of bushmeat and palm wine. But just as Olamma stepped out for the marriage rites, the arena was invaded by some armed men who shot into the air and whisked Olamma and the prince away. There was chaos everywhere, and everyone was perplexed as to who could have done this. The king initially thought it was Chuma until he received a message from the prince of Ula, who was away during the war that killed his father, demanding that the king of Umuchi agree to submit to him as king. The king knew no one could rescue his son and Olamma from the prince of Ula but Chuma, and he also knew that Chuma would not consent to the mission. The king then sent an emissary to Chuma, promising to fulfill his promise this time, but Chuma didn't trust him and refused. But the thought of Olamma's safety made him reconsider to undertake the rescue mission. His initial step was to pinpoint the exact whereabouts of the captives, information that Kachi provided him. He was puzzled by Kachi's knowledge of their whereabouts. Choosing a few of the most skilled warriors from Umuchi, Chuma embarked on a mission to save the prince and Olamma. Chuma and his warriors accomplished the successful rescue of the prince and Olamma, triumphing over the prince of Ula, who perished in the ensuing battle. Both the prince of Umuchi and Olamma were safely escorted back to the village and the palace. In a gesture of gratitude, the prince yielded his claim on Olamma to Chuma. According to him, Without Chuma's intervention, he wouldn't be alive. The king, seeking to honor his commitment, not only gave Olama to Chuma in marriage, but also conferred a title upon him and granted him land and wealth. The wedding was celebrated lavishly, attended by the entire village and dignitaries from neighboring communities. Chuma, once an outcast, was celebrated as the village's hero. Chuma made a plea for the abolishment of the practice of branding children whose mothers died during childbirth as cursed. Prompted, the king enacted this change into law, thus putting an end to the cruel tradition. As Chuma and Olama embarked on their life together as a married couple, their joy was tingled with sadness upon learning that Kachi and Kelechi intended to leave, despite Chuma's hopes for them to remain. It was at this moment his mother made a surprising return, announcing it was time for them to depart. Puzzled, Chuma listened as his mother disclosed a startling revelation. She confessed that before him, she had given birth to 2 sons, both of whom died at birth. In a bid to save her future children, she chose to offer her own life in exchange for theirs, which led to her demise during Chuma's birth. She revealed that Kachi and Kelechi were the ghosts of his brothers who had returned to help him. Realizing he had been living with ghosts, Chuma was astonished. The farewell was deeply emotional, leaving Chuma in sorrow for days. However, Olama was there to comfort him. Together, Chuma and Olama found happiness and were blessed with many children, making a new chapter of joy and fulfillment. So, this concludes the tale of Chuma. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If Chuma's story moved you, share it with your friends and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, remember that life is a journey of lessons, and sometimes the hardest choices lead to the most profound growth. Thank you and goodbye.